So, tomorrow is going to be Desmond Ridder's first game for the Atlanta Falcons. And considering that this is the best time that he could have possibly started out of all the season, one, we just had a bye week, and two, he's been learning the system, and he's had 2 weeks to learn the system considering we had a bye. And Marcus Mariota has apparently gone down with an injury. I mean, I wish him the best in his future recovery, but let's be honest, Mariota was not that good. But let's take a look at Desmond Ridder and why I think and what I like about Desmond Ridder from seeing his preseason stats. Desmond Ridder played 3 games in preseason. His first game was against the Detroit Lions, and in this one, there was one thing I saw: drop passes from the receivers. And this is his first game not without receivers like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Olamide Zaccheaus. So these are receivers that are not used to being good at catching the ball. So I can understand this. 10 for 22, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, had a 10.3 average yards per throw, and had a 45% completion percentage rating, 6 carries, 59 yards, averaging 9.8 yards per carry. That was his first game against the Detroit Lions, and you would probably say, alright, the completion percentage needs to get better, but the 2 touchdowns is okay. And the one thing I liked about the Detroit Lions game, if you guys remember, a couple seasons ago, we were playing the Detroit Lions, not in preseason, but in the regular season, and we blew a lead. This time, Desmond Ridder throws a deep pass and gets the touchdown and wins us the game in preseason against the Detroit Lions. So that's something I very much like seeing from Desmond Ridder. Game number 2, which was the New York Jets game, he was 76% when it comes to completion percentage. He was 10 for 13, 143 yards, 14.3 average yards per throw, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. This is a game that I look at just how when Marcus Mariota came in, he performed better than Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota did in fact get the touchdown, but in terms of completion percentage and average yards per throw and yards in general, Desmond Ridder outperformed Marcus Mariota in this instance. And then his final game, which I'd probably say is the game that you have to really take a look at how he performed, because this is the game where he got a majority part of playing time. He was 14 for 21. He had a 66% completion percentage. He had 185 yards, averaging 13.2 yards per throw, had 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So in total, Desmond Ridder's seasons in preseason stats, he was 34 for 56, 60% completion percentage in preseason, 431 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he was averaging 12.6 yards per carry. And in terms of his running, he had 8 carries, 58 yards, and he was averaging 7.25 yards per carry. So looking at this, you think that Desmond Ridder is going to be at least somewhat accurate. And I think that from what I watched in the Detroit Lions game, you guys are probably seeing the highlights below, Desmond Ridder, most of his throws were on target. They were on target, it's just the receivers couldn't catch him. And now he's going to have Drake London, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Michael Pruitt, who have all been reliable receiving options, including Cordell Patterson, who is a very good receiving back as well. This is the reason why I'm excited for Desmond Ridder to start this week. And in my fantasy, I'm currently debating on whether to put Desmond Ridder in my starting lineup or keep Tua Tagovailoa in this, because Tua plays tonight, Desmond Ridder plays tomorrow, and I got Jalen Waddle with Tua, and I got Drake London with Desmond Ridder. So I don't really know when I'm going to go to that, but in terms of what I think is going to happen tomorrow for Mr. Desmond Ridder, I think in terms of passing, he's going to go 17 for 30. He's going to have a 56% completion percentage. He's going to go for 167 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he's going to average 9.8 yards per throw. In terms of rushing, I think he'll have at least 6 carries, 32 yards, 0 touchdowns, and he'll be averaging 5.3 yards per rush. Looking at this debut game, if Desmond Ridder were to come out and put out those numbers and have a 56% completion percentage, I would honestly be like, okay, as long as we win, that's a fine first game. You guys would probably be like, nah, Desmond Ridder needs to go for over 200 yards. Have you seen what Marcus Mariota was doing? And let's also remember, Desmond Ridder is a rookie. Desmond Ridder is a rookie. Marcus Mariota is a veteran, and Marcus Mariota was not even averaging over 200 yards per game. I think that when it comes to the later part of the games, Desmond Ridder will start averaging close to or above 200 yards. But in this instance, 17 for 30 is not bad. That's missing 13 throws, and at least he has more attempts. This would mean the receivers would have a lot more, receptions, and that would just be help developing them. 56% completion percentage. If honestly, I could have changed this to at least 17 to 19. If I was to put it at 19, it would have been above 60%, so that would have been good. But the 2 touchdowns, one pick. I'm going to expect that he's gonna at least throw a pick. So I'm going with that expectation that he's gonna throw an interception. If he goes out there and lights it up, fine, I'll take that. But I'm going to be very optimistic when it comes to tomorrow's game for Desmond Ridder. If he plays well, I'm going to be like, all right, good first game. Let's see how you do in your second game. If he does that in the second game, I'm going to start getting a little bit more excited. But in his first game against New Orleans, against a division rival team that beat us because we blew a lead and they wanted to gain 26 to 25 in the first game of the season, I'm going to be very optimistic the way Desmond Ridder is playing. But from what I saw in preseason and what I am going to expect, I think that Desmond Ridder can be a good starting quarterback. I don't think he's going to be our future quarterback, but I think he's a good starting quarterback. And tomorrow's game, I'll be very optimistic when it comes to that. But in terms of this, Desmond Ridder's predictions for tomorrow for me is 17 for 30, 56% completion percentage, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, averaging 9.8 yards per throw, 6 carries, 32 yards, 0 touchdowns, averaging 5.3 yards per carry, and that is what I think Desmond Ridder will do against the New Orleans Saints. And I will see you guys all tomorrow with another video.